Challengers came out mid-2024, and it's one of those movies that, for whatever reason, I've avoided watching without really remembering why. I like tennis, I like Zendaya, but this movie just kind of kept on getting pushed down my list of films to, eventually watch sometime, but my wife persuaded me to finally give it a go. It's ultimately about 3 tennis players, 2 of which were longtime friends but turned rivals. Once they run into Tashi, played by Zendaya, who they both want for themselves. Tashi is apparently the sexiest woman on the planet, capable of just really screwing up your entire life if she so desired. Basically, the film is told in a non-linear format as we go from present day featuring these characters before jumping way back in time to find out how they got to this point, how they went from being good old pals to bitter enemies, and how this Tashi character is consistently caught in the middle of it all. Although, let's be honest, she's there by choice. Guys, I know that I'm not the only person to say this, but how do you let a girl get between your friendship? Look, I love Zendaya as much as the next guy, but her character in this movie is very clearly somebody who has a ton of issues and red flags galore. Literally nothing about her other than her looks is worth the effort. You're gonna kill a lifelong friendship over a big pair of goo-goo eyes? Give me a break. Here we have a character right from the get-go that is manipulative, controlling, and forgive my French, but a little bit of a hussy. Never once throughout the runtime of the movie do these guys bat their eyes at anybody else. No other woman, least of all anybody, God forbid, grounded or normal. No, of course not. These guys are fiending for trouble, addicted to it, even though she trades them off back and forth because she clearly doesn't feel a thing for either of them. There are an ends to a means for her. That's it. It's kind of insane, but she's honestly not the only one. The guys aren't really all that likable either. As my wife put it, one's a jerk, the other's a wimp. In terms of a love triangle, I really don't think that this movie understands the point of those. For all of the crap the Twilight series has gotten over the years, it seemed to understand how love triangles are supposed to work. But for those of you that don't really get it, at its core, a love triangle is about 2 people that both like the same character, and she has to decide between the 2 of them which one she'll end up with forever. To make this decision harder, the guys are almost always polar opposites of one another, both containing qualities that she likes in an impossible to choose scenario. This creates the effect audiences at home chime in on with team names. In Twilight, we all remember the question, right? Are you Team Jacob? Are you Team Edward? As much as I hated that question, I mean, who wasn't Team Jacob? You know what I mean? The difference between this movie and Twilight in terms of a love triangle is that in Twilight, it was compelling. You had the ability to root for one or more characters. You cannot root for anybody in this movie because they are all detestable. Now, while the cinematography is indeed strong throughout the film, especially when it comes down to shooting a tennis match and have it feel unique and exciting, the film is put together, like I said, in a non-linear format, jumping back and forth from modern day back to about 13 years ago, then back to modern day, then back to 13 years ago. Oh, no, now we're at 12 years ago. Now back to present day, now only a few weeks ago. Hey, that's nice. Well, no, we're gonna jump back to 8 years ago now, and on it goes. In my personal opinion, the non-linear format wasn't ever really necessary in the film. The only real reason I'm guessing they utilized the format is to be a cheeky nod to the whiplash sensation of watching a tennis match. You're looking left, you're looking right, you're looking left, now it's back to right. And you do this constantly as our players hit a ball back and forth. So the film translates that same whiplash sensation to ultimately how the narrative plays out from present day to years ago. Personally, I wasn't a fan. I sometimes had difficulty keeping track of where their relationships were at several different years ago and what was happening in their lives while juggling the present day stuff as well in my mind. It was a nightmare, quite honestly, though I will admit the acting was pretty well done. A part of you legitimately feeling as though Zendaya's character is indeed a brat and being frustrated with the decisions playing out on screen really does come down to her acting ability and her chemistry with the other leads. The chemistry itself was fine for what it's worth. I didn't feel as though anybody loved each other at any point, so it almost felt like a business acquaintance type of chemistry than anything else, but there was still something there. There was tension there, which built in a natural and effective way. Overall, am I glad I watched it? Honestly, no, not really. I feel vindicated in avoiding it as long as I have. It's not a great movie in my opinion. It's well made and it's well performed. There's a good display of tension throughout the entire thing, but it also hinges on a multiple year obsession with one freaking girl who, from the very beginning, was doing this power play thing, controlling the actions of these guys. And if I was ever in their situation, I'm not lying when I would say I would have gotten out of there and ran until my legs gave out. I'm gonna give it 66 out of 100 possible stars. For me, that's a C+, letter grade, but maybe it's a hot take. Maybe you loved this film. Maybe you thought that this is an incredible movie. If you did, leave your thoughts about that in the comment section down below and tell me why. As for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review, whenever and whatever that may be on. And until then, peace!